Welcome to episode 2 of Stick to Sports. I'm Zach Malamud.
And I'm Zach Mash. Today, the Giants make a major splash. The King goes down with an injury, and brackets are being torn apart in March.
Roll it. The New York Giants made a huge splash in free agency this past weekend when they signed Pro Bowl wide receiver Kenny Golladay. Golladay signed a $72 million deal with up to $40 million guaranteed to lock himself in blue for the next 4 years. The Ravens, Bears, and Bengals were all reportedly in on Golladay, who only played 5 games this past year due to COVID and a hip injury. Zach, where does this put the Giants in the NFC East?
Well, Zach, they're going to be a factor. And for me, that means the world. Basically, the Giants, with this signing and also with Dory Jackson, which also happened early tonight, they got 2 positions that they need. They got the wide receiver one that they haven't had since Odell Beckham Jr. Of course, we all know about that situation. The Giants have added high-end talent this offseason. They showed progress last year. Joe Judge really seems like the players are buying into his program, and I think they're a factor. Not gonna put a number on it. Not gonna say exactly where they rank, but they're gonna be a factor.
With a healthy Golladay, the Giants are put in probably second place, I think. The key word, though, is healthy. He only played 5 games last year. He has to stay on the field this year for the Giants to be successful at that position. And the Giants aren't really playoff contenders yet, in my mind. This deal set the Giants up for success in the draft, though. I know you, as a Giants fan, are hoping for Jalen Waddle. That can still be an option for them, but now they can also look at defense and continuing to fix the offensive line with the 11th pick. They're my runner-up, though, in the NFC East.
Certainly opens things up there, but over to the NCAA tournament, every year there are 1 seeds that lose way earlier than anyone expected, and it happened again in the second round this year as 8 seed Loyola Chicago, led by their team captain, Sister Jean, knocked off 1 seeded Illinois in the round of 32. How shocking was that for you?
2 words, March Madness. Illinois didn't stand a chance in this game. The Illini never led, just complete domination by Loyola Chicago. And I think that credit has to go to their coach, Porter Moser. I think this guy has an argument to be a top 5 coach in college basketball right now. The Cinderella story in 2018, an 11 seed into the Final Four that year, and now he brings them back to the tournament and knocks off a championship contender in Illinois. An underrated, a winner, whatever you want to say about him, Porter Moser deserves all the credit he can get.
I mean, it has been said that Loyola Chicago was underseeded, and I would agree with that. There's a lot of talent on that basketball team. So was it shocking for me after seeing them play a little bit? Not really. I mean, this is a team that can compete with anybody. It showed in the round of 32 when they also were able to win. So, this is a team to be reckoned with. I wasn't shocked. Illinois did not play well in that game. They could have beaten Loyola Chicago, but Loyola Chicago is a very formidable team. So, in terms of was I that shocked? I guess not.
Yeah, over to the NBA, though. LeBron James went down with a nasty high right ankle sprain on Saturday. James stayed in the game for the next possession and drained a 3 from the corner, but forced a timeout on the floor to come out of the game. James was very angry heading to the locker room, pushing a chair down, and Woj is reporting the King is expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks. A monster loss to a lineup that's already missing Anthony Davis.
Let's slow down with all that King nickname talk. I hate that. But anyways, LeBron James was healthy enough to stay in the game and hit a 3 to keep his 10-plus point streak alive, which to me is pretty curious. But besides that, I mean, listen, I hope he gets better. Of course, basketball is better when LeBron's playing, but this is just going to be another one of those excuses when they inevitably come up short. LeBron had the ankle injury, wasn't 100% healthy, so the Lakers didn't win the finals. That's the excuse all the time. whenever there's always something to excuse LeBron James when he doesn't win a championship. And unfortunately, I think we're headed that way again.
I agree with you. That's this day and age, though. In the 90s, if that happened, Michael Jordan went out with an ankle injury, he would be playing the next day in a
That
game. So,
absolutely.
but an awful looking injury for LeBron. It's a huge loss for the Lakers. They don't have either star, but I look at the Clippers now, and Kawhi Leonard, he was brought to LA, LeBron on the other side of town. He brings home a championship. So it's Kawhi's turn. I'm looking for the Clippers to step up with LeBron now being out for an extended period of time.
Well, we'll have to see what happens. Back to the NCAA. The tournament was issued its first scare with the cancellation of the Oregon and VCU 7-10 game in the round of 64. The game was canceled due to COVID concerns within the VCU program, with Oregon being awarded the win. Do you think we're in for more of this?
First, I want to say how awful I felt for VCU after that. To make it all the way there and not be able to play due to something completely out of their control is just absolutely devastating. On the other hand, I don't think we're going to see too many more COVID problems, though. After Monday's games, 47 of the 48 games scheduled have been played. The bubble is working, and these teams are continuing to do a great job of staying safe. So I think the bubble is working really well, and we're going to have no more COVID problems after this one.
You know, I tend to agree with you on that. I do. But it's 2021. You never know. Derrick Rose for the Knicks just came back after having a really, really violent encounter with COVID-19. It can happen anywhere. So I certainly hope not. And I think you're right that the NCAA has done a great job keeping everybody healthy within that little Indianapolis bubble. But it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. And that's how it's been with every other sport. And, you know, you never know. You just don't know at this point.
Yeah, it's really tough to tell wherever these come from, wherever COVID comes from. You just can't control it. It's out of your control. But we're going to take a quick break here on Stick to Sports. Up next, we look at a major March Madness upset and some new signings in the NFL. Stay tuned on WTOP 10.
The inherent right to work is one of the elemental privileges of a free people. Endowed, as our nation is, with abundant physical resources, and inspired as it should be to make those resources and opportunities available for the enjoyment of all, we approach reemployment with the real hope of finding a better answer than we have now.
Donate to Goodwill, where your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community.
Life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Welcome to Understood.org, a free online resource for parents of kids with learning and attention issues, with personalized recommendations, tools, and daily access to experts to help your child thrive. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
A single ember from a wildfire can travel over a mile. You can't control where it will land, only what happens before it does. Visit fireadapted.org to learn how to protect your community from wildfires.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. The ultimate bracket buster was Illinois, but most brackets were gone 2 days before that when 15-seeded Oral Roberts knocked off number 2 Ohio State in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Max Asmith, the leading scorer in the nation this year, put up 29 for the Golden Eagles to send the Buckeyes home. What went wrong for Ohio State in this one?
When I was watching this game, I couldn't help thinking about the old adage, the old narrative that Ohio State took this team a little bit lightly. I think that's a fair take looking at it. The reactions on the bench were that of shock. They just looked completely out of sync during this game. Like they were quite frankly expecting to win. And when the other team that you're facing has the country's leading scorer, they can put up points, and that's what they did. And Ohio State wasn't ready for it. And you got to give all the credit to Oral Roberts here. Like they obviously won their round of 32 game as well. So that's a dangerous team. And Ohio State really has no one to blame but themselves.
Yeah, really a monster upset that nobody saw coming. There was one thing that stood out on why Ohio State lost this game, though. And when it comes to March, when it gets to March, every team needs one, maybe two guys to step up for them in a big moment. Ohio State really didn't have that in this game. Max Asmus and Kevin O'Banner did it for Oral Roberts. EJ Liddell missed the front end of a 1-and-1, and Dwayne Washington Jr. missed a wide open 3 to tie the game. That was the difference in this game, and that is the difference in a close game come March time.
I agree with you. You need guys that you can go to in the final minutes to put up big shots in March, and I think in basketball in general. And they didn't have that. You could tell they were searching for it, and they didn't have one. And that'll send you home when you're at this time of the year.
Yeah, the 11 seed Syracuse Orange are in the Sweet 16 after they took down the 3 seed West Virginia Mountaineers 75-72 in the second round. Buddy Boeheim, son of Coach Jim Boeheim, scored 25 for the Orange, who will take on the number 2 Houston Cougars on Saturday. What is the key to these Syracuse upsets, Zach?
Well, to me, it comes down to 2 factors. It's 3-point shooting, and it's that old Jim Boeheim 2-3 zone. The 3-point shooting obviously starts with Buddy Boeheim, who has been absolutely on fire dating back to the end of the regular season. Just ridiculous shot making by him. Seems like every time he's open for 3, he's going to make it. Joe Girard also had a really good first half against West Virginia. I think he had 3 3-pointers. Quincy Guerrier's been knocking him down from time to time. Alan Griffin is obviously a threat from out there. And the 2-3 zone. Teams that have not seen this zone in years. And I was worried as a Syracuse fan. Bob Huggins was in the Big East with Syracuse years ago, so he knows more than most. But when you have not seen that 2-3 zone, it is just staggering to see exactly how these teams react to it.
Yeah, Syracuse really played a perfect second half in this one. The zone is standing strong, and teams are forced to shoot threes consistently. The key to these upsets, though, is Buddy Boeheim. Buddy Boeheim could not hit anything in the first half on Sunday, but shooters have a superpower. Just keep shooting and everything will start to fall. 30 and 25 in the first and second round. He's clearly the best player on the team, and the Orange are in the Sweet 16, and that is because they have Buddy Boeheim. But finally, a major upset ended in some controversy Saturday night when number 14 Abilene Christian upset number 3 Texas. Texas guard Matt Coleman was called for a foul with just over a second left in the game that sent Abilene Christian to the line for 2 free throws. Forward Joe Pleasant hit 2 free throws for the win as the Wildcats won their first tournament game in school history. But Zach, should this foul have even been called this late in the game?
I've always been a proponent of letting the players play, especially that late, especially in a game this important. So you could definitely argue that the contact there was worthy of a foul, but to me, you just got to let him play in that situation. Guys are so desperate late in the game to get the ball at all costs that there's just naturally going to be more contact. You see it every single night, and that's just a tough way to lose if you're Texas, especially to a lower seed like that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Let the players play. I was very unhappy with this call. Over 1 second left on the clock in a game of this kind of magnitude. I do believe it was a foul, but Matt Coleman definitely swiped down on Joe Pleasant's arm, but that foul should never be called that late in a game of this magnitude. Texas was very unlucky and were sent home early because of it.
It's tough to have that kind of call decide a game, but now we're going over to the NFL. The New York Jets are trying desperately to break a decade-long playoff drought, and they showed it in this year's free agency. They signed edge Carl Lawson, wide receiver Corey Davis, and defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, among others. How much will this help them?
I like these small money signings by the Jets. These signings will help the Jets because of the experience they're getting. Lawson with 4 years of experience. Same with Davis, 4 years of experience, and Rankings with 5 years of experience. Some great pickups. But I think the majority of help the Jets are going to get will be from their draft picks this year. And number 2 and number 23 with number 34 in the second round and 2 different third rounders. That's going to define the Jets season this year. But I definitely like what the Jets have done so far.
These are good, solid players that they got in free agency, guys with histories of production. But when it comes down to it, I don't know what the Jets are going to be until they decide what's going on with their quarterback situation. Is it going to be Sam Darnold? Are they going to pick one at number 2? I don't know. It's been pretty tight-lipped on that situation. Independently, these guys are good players. Carl Lawson has a history of putting up sacks. Corey Davis, while he's been inconsistent throughout his career, had a breakout 2020. I am concerned about him disappearing in their playoff game where he had literally 0 catches and 0 yards. So these players are going to help them, but I just can't quantify exactly where the Jets are going to be without knowing who their quarterback's going to be. Moving over to the NFC, the reigning Super Bowl champions were taking care of business as well, bringing back nearly all of their pending free agents, Chris Godwin, Shaquille Barrett, and Rob Gronkowski among them. They sure do look primed for a strong run in the playoffs again, right?
Yeah, Tom Brady is their quarterback. They always look like they can win. Bringing back Godwin and Barrett and Gronk is just the start. There were so many people, including myself, that counted them out after that, what we would say a mediocre regular season for a Tom Brady-led team. That was just preparation for the playoffs in the big moment. But this team can definitely win it all again. I think a lot of this will depend on their defense and the consistency of their defense. And bringing back Shaq Barrett is a great start to going back to the Super Bowl once again.
I mean, that team has as much talent, I should say, as any team in the NFL. And it showed itself in the playoffs, and it's going to show themselves again because they didn't lose any of that talent. Shaq Barrett is a premier pass rusher. Chris Godwin is a premier wide receiver. You can go with the allure of Brady. I understand that. But, even independent of that, this is an extremely talented team and one that looks primed, for another playoff run. I don't see any reason why not. Now, going from the champs to a more struggling team in the NFC, the Bears were busy this week. They signed Andy Dalton as their starting quarterback this coming season, as Allen Robinson signed his franchise tag, and the team reportedly made a run at Kenny Golladay. Where do the Bears go from here?
Their offense is getting some work done. I like it. Andy Dalton is not getting their team over the top, though. They got Allen Robinson back. That's really good, but it's about time that Mitchell Trubisky left. In the end, it looks like their defense is going to have to carry them for another year, though. I really think the only reason the Bears even had a shot at the playoffs last year was because of their defense. As long as Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, and Trevathan and Jackson are all there, the Bears are a playoff contender every single year. Their offense is somewhat improving, but it still needs a lot of help.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know what the hell the Bears are doing. I don't know where they're going to go from here. The Bears, to me, are kind of lost right now. They obviously have that identity of being a good defense. They lost Kyle Fuller. They released him this week. The quarterback situation, they let their first-round draft pick, Mitchell Trubisky, go to the Bills as a backup, which obviously we know Trubisky's not the best, but, they're lost to me. I don't know where they're going from here. Do they think Andy Dalton's going to take them where they want to go? Probably not. So, we'll see if they start to take a direction, but I really just don't know. Well, we're going to have to take a quick break, but when we come back, Zach, you'll be joined by Ben Diamond. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Stick to Sports.
Got your personal references, high school diploma or equivalent?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
It's right there.
Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
We taught him how to hit a baseball, how to hit a receiver, the strike zone, the net, You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
I wouldn't use this one.
He helps me with my decision making.
Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. Joining me now is Ben Diamond, one of our producers. Ben, what do you have for us tonight?
Last night, Chris Paul added to his Hall of Fame resume in the Suns' win over the Lakers 111-94. Last night, Paul notched 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 13 assists. Those 13 assists leading him to becoming the sixth player in NBA history to reach 10,000 career assists. I think this puts him over the top when it comes to his chances of getting into the Hall of Fame in the future.
Yeah, arguably the best floor general ever strikes again. 10,000 assists. What a career this guy has had. People always bring up the 0 championships, and yes, that separates him from other point guards. But Chris Paul is so special, and this is just another great accomplishment.
Yeah, we only have to wait until the time that we're going to be all watching on TV and seeing him make his speech at the Hall of Fame ceremony. It's only a matter of time. But moving on to Charlotte, Rookie of the Year frontrunner LaMelo Ball is out for the rest of the season with a wrist fracture. This is a huge blow for Ball, who was the prime contender to win this year's Rookie of the Year, but also for the Charlotte Hornets, who have taken a step forward this year with the addition of Ball. Before his injury, Ball is averaging 15.9 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, and 6.1 assists. It will be interesting to see how the Hornets do moving forward, as well as seeing if LaMelo can come back to form next season.
Yeah, this is terrible news for LaMelo Ball, a standout performer in the NBA this season. Unless another rookie averages insane numbers to end the season, I think the Rookie of the Year award clearly belongs to LaMelo Ball. He is on absolute fire this season. Like you said, averaging 15, 5, and 6 as a rookie. He's just taking over the NBA. He definitely deserves the Rookie of the Year award.
Yeah, I agree. But I think when it comes, the only argument I have against giving LaMelo the Rookie of the Year, because he's going to be out for the rest of the season, is then why didn't Zion win last year? Because it's almost the same situation except flipped. So it's a little bit of an argument, but still, if he definitely is probably still going to be in the discussion when the season's over. Now, moving over to Brooklyn, a couple of weeks ago, Blake Griffin signed a contract with the Brooklyn Nets after getting his contract bought out by the Detroit Pistons. At the time, the signing didn't seem too significant, as Griffin hadn't looked like himself since joining the Pistons back in 2018. Blake Griffin hadn't dunked a basketball since December 12, 2019, but in his first game with the Nets, he showed the league that he still got it.
Yeah, Blake Griffin definitely still has it. The injuries have hurt him, but whenever I think of Blake Griffin, I think of the dunk over the Kia in the 2011 dunk contest. If he can dunk like that at one point, he'll be throwing it down for a long time. And this is just another instance where Blake Griffin shows that he definitely has hops.
Yeah, he's trying to show the league and show the world why he is still Blake Griffin and that he still has what it takes to help a team win.
Yeah, no doubt. But we'll take a quick break here on Stick to Sports. Thanks once again to Ben for his segment. When we come back, Zach and I will go through our best bets and what to watch for. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Stick to Sports on WTOP 10.
The inherent right to work is one of the elemental privileges of a free people. Endowed, as our nation is, with abundant physical resources, and inspired as it should be to make those resources and opportunities available for the enjoyment of all, we approach reemployment with the real hope of finding a better answer than we have now.
Donate to Goodwill, where your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
Preventing wildfires. That's all Smokey wants for his 70th birthday.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. Well, it's somehow already late March, and we're now heading into the last full week of spring training games in Major League Baseball. After a shortened spring training in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it certainly was a welcome sight to see everything go smoothly this year. However, as normalcy begins to set in, many key decisions are going to have to be made within the next week, with teams needing to set their 26-man rosters imminently. It should be interesting to see which top prospects make their team's opening rosters and which veterans are able to hold on as key bench players.
Yeah, no doubt. Looking forward to spring training in the MLB. My what to watch for this week is the NBA trade deadline at 3:00 Eastern time on March 25th. Names like Lonzo Ball and Aaron Gordon are revolving around the league. It will be interesting now to see if the Lakers make any moves being without LeBron James and Anthony Davis for a while. Will teams like the Rockets and the Cavaliers give up on their playoff aspirations and trade some big pieces looking into the future? Or will teams like the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics look at names like Kyle Lowry, Andre Drummond, and LaMarcus Aldridge as a boost for their team come playoff time? Players like PJ Tucker, Blake Griffin, and Trevor Ariza have been shipped away and can make huge impacts for their teams. So we'll see if any other big names will get traded before 3:00 Thursday.
I love trade season in pretty much any sport. Now shifting to our best bets, been talking up my Syracuse Orange for weeks now, and I see no reason to stop here. The 2-seeded Cougars are favored by 6.5 points over the Orange for their Sweet 16 game. And with the Jim and Buddy Boeheim's team, the way the Jim and Buddy Boeheim's team has been playing, I think it's a great bet for them to outperform there. I'm getting a case of deja vu from this year's Syracuse team, as it looks like another magical run could be in the works. As long as Buddy continues to shoot the lights out and that 2-3 zone continues to lock down opponents, I'll take the Syracuse Orange.
Yeah, no doubt. Syracuse is red hot. But after last week's horror show for my Purdue minus 7.5 against North Texas, where the Boilermakers ended up being upset, I'm still sticking with college basketball this week. This time I'm going with a 1 seed, though. The 1-seeded Baylor Bears at minus 6.5 against the Villanova Wildcats this Saturday. Baylor gets its toughest test so far after wins by 24 and 13 in the first and second rounds. But now they play a Villanova team without their star point guard, Colin Gillespie. And even though that hasn't seemed to slow them down yet, Baylor's guard play is just in a different league. Give me the Bears minus 6.5 on Saturday.
Kind of bold a year to go there again after what happened last week, huh?
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, that's all the time we have on this episode of Stick to Sports. Be sure to tune in next week right here on WTOP Time.